For those that are new, this is Tea and Tarot. Every 2 weeks we gather, I go to the oracle cards and we check in on what's happening on the planet, what's happening with the energies out there. So welcome. It's kind of an impromptu setup. I don't go in with any kind of agenda or specific questions. I just go to the cards and then we see whatever they share with us. So thanks for coming. I've got a fluff, hold on. I was hugging my cat and I have like cat hair in my mouth. So gross. Sorry guys. So grab a tea or coffee. And we're going to begin. Also too, I do see your messages. So if there's any card decks that you want me to focus on, or if you have any like big questions and you want me to kind of go in with that intention, I can do that. That's not a problem. All right. So how is everybody doing? I don't know about everybody that's tuned in today, but where I am in Ontario, we got snow the other day, which I was actually pretty excited about because I put up a lot of Christmas lights this year and I was sort of waiting to kind of put them on. I didn't want to be that first one on my street, the Christmas lunatic, but as soon as the snow hit, I was like, open season. So I don't know, I find the lights cheerful. Anyways, welcome, I'm glad to see you. So let's jump in. Also too, for those who know, who don't know, who aren't in the know, we do this every 2 weeks. I upload it to YouTube so that you can connect to past episodes as well, because even though they were filmed in the past, they're still very relevant to what's happening right now. So I think we're going to start with Keepers of the Light Oracle deck. That one's jumping out at me. And as well, a couple of you have been asking me to do an Oracle card class, and I am going to be doing one in the new year, probably January or February. I just need to put some finishing touches on it, and I haven't had any free time. I've been teaching a lot of Reiki lately, but I will get time over the holidays to finish it up. So if you're interested in that, let me know. It's going to be a combination of self-learning and live with me. So there will be a lot of question and answer. It's not like just one of those pre-recorded classes where you're lost in space on your own. It'll be very interactive. All right, so Keepers of the Light. For those who aren't familiar with this deck, it's in a Kyle Gray deck. Nobody's telling me to promote their decks, by the way. These are just my personal decks that I actually bought and paid for, that I love. But I like to share them with you because, you know, if you're thinking about getting a deck, sometimes it's nice to see inside a deck before you commit to it. So this one has a lot of different deities in it. It's a new deck to me. I've only used it a handful of times, but I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so this is the deity that I chose for us today, Amoria, and about awakening presence. And when I look at this card, I'm really drawn to that jewel in the third eye chakra, that beautiful indigo, as well as the white. He's wearing white, but then he also has this sort of blue on the one side. And white is very much our crown chakra, and this indigo blue is our third eye chakra. And all the sacred geometry that's also in this card, you can see behind him here. And I don't know if any of you have ever looked out at the night sky, at the stars, and have seen the lines between the stars. Just like they draw the constellations, there's actually energy lines between all of the stars. And it's really neat to see that if you haven't. So the next time you're looking at the night sky, just sort of focus and try to see if you can see the lines between the stars. Because everything's all like gridded together. It's very fascinating. So this card, I feel like this card has to do with our third eye chakra opening. And I don't know if you've been noticing this lately, but this has been the case with a lot of my students over the last month, that they're having sort of like a dull headache here, a feeling of this area stretching, or it might be pressure in the base of the skull. It can even manifest sometimes as like tingling in the ears, buzzing in the ears, or pressure in the ears. And that's just collectively because this chakra is wanting to open up even more. And some of you are going to feel it physically, and that's okay. You don't have a brain tumor. Everything's good. Lavender essential oil is actually really helpful if you feel like you've got sort of like a dull ache. It won't be like a major migraine or anything like that. It'll just be sort of this low grade pressure. Unfortunately, like Advil and things like that don't really work for it. The best way to clear it is to do energy work if you're trained in that. Meditate, or lavender will help, and it will get better. It's just we're collectively expanding, and so some of you will feel it physically, but also meditating and focusing on this area. So you can close your eyes and just bring your focus to that area between the brows, and that will really help. And actually, that's a really great meditation just to try in the next couple of weeks. And you don't have to take hours to do this. Just close your eyes, focus on this point, and breathe into it. And just notice what happens. What do you feel? What do you sense? And just allow it to unfold. Don't go in with any kind of preconceived idea of what's going to happen, but just focus on that area and use your breath to breathe into that area and let it expand. With the exhale, you can imagine you're clearing any stuck energy, and on the inhale, you can set the intention for expansion. But our third eye is opening up. Very exciting, also very crazy, because as that happens, some of you might be opening up to your intuition in ways that aren't familiar or comfortable for you. So again, don't get freaked out. Just move through it, because whenever something new comes into our lives, in the beginning, it can feel a little weird. So if you start having bizarre dreams, or maybe you get really strong feelings about things that later come to pass. So I think it's a good idea to write these things down if you're getting insights or information in your dream time. Because as your third eye opens, you'll start to receive more information about things that are coming from the future. Okay? So this is happening to everyone right now. Everybody's going to experience it in different, unique ways, depending on your energy and how you perceive your reality with your 5 senses. That very much affects how you perceive it with your 6th sense. So if you're a strongly visual person like I am, I was always involved in art, and I had to write things down to understand them. I need to sort of see something to understand it. I'm very visual with my intuition as well. So just keep that in mind, but we are on this wave of intuition. It can also make you sensitive, a little more sensitive than usual, a little more emotional than usual. So your emotions might be heightened. So don't go into judgment or psychoanalyzing yourself to death. Just see it as, moving on through. Okay? Just like the weather, we don't get too attached to it. We try not to. So just keep it moving on through. All right, so let's go to our next card. I'm drawn to the Wild Offering Oracle cards, which is a new deck, and I used this a couple weeks ago, and it's got different sayings and words throughout the deck. I really love it. So we'll see what this deck has to say. And we are in this together. I know it's easy to feel alone right now with everything that's happening in the world. We haven't been able to see our friends and families and interact with them in a normal way for a very long time. And we're coming into winter, which can be really isolating. So I just want to say to everybody, feeling alone is the new normal, okay? But we're not alone. And it's really important to reach out to friends or family or anyone. Don't feel like you have to go through this stuff on your own. We're all in the same boat. And even if we're not feeling like, I've had days where I'm not feeling like I could support anyone else because I'm having a difficult day, but then, you reach out to a friend who needs help, and by helping them, it helps you feel better. So we are better together, like in our communities, in our families. So please don't let isolation get the better of you, okay? Especially going into winter, it's really important to stay connected. Connection is key. They're even finding that, they've known this for a number of years, but it's sort of becoming common knowledge that even things with addictions and mental health disorders, that connection is a really key part in recovery and staying healthy and well. So don't isolate yourself, because if you're depressed or anxious, that's the first thing you want to do is stay away from people. Don't force yourself to get out there or reach out to a friend. Okay? So ironically, I pulled the independence card when I'm talking about connection and the importance of being together, and this card is like independence. And there's a butterfly on this card. But let's see what it has to say. The more you learn to feed yourself on the inside and care for the inner child, the more freestanding you become. So this is about doing that inner child work. And a lot of courses and different modalities talk about the inner child, and it can be a little confusing, like inner child, what does that mean? what on earth does that have to do with me, my child from before? At certain parts in our life, we might have traumas or experiences that, are unsettling. And it could be unsettling because at that time it was really traumatic. And I mentioned this in a Reiki class a few weeks ago where, I lost a stuffed animal when I was 4. That would be traumatic. But my Kerri adult self would be not a big deal. Don't worry about it, But as that child, it was really awful. So part of me is stuck at 4 years old in that trauma of when I lost that stuffed animal. But it doesn't mean that it's really relevant to my future Kerri. But there's certain points in our life where we had traumas or things happen that kind of shocked us or caused us to sort of have a freeze response. And those points in time, if you go back to them, you can almost find your childlike self frozen in time there. So if you go back and kind of bring those parts of you forward to the now and take responsibility as the adult version of yourself to parent and help those parts of you forward, that's kind of, in a nutshell, a really concentrated version of inner child work. But basically just acknowledge there's parts of you that are childlike, that want to play, want to create. I have an inner 4-year-old that loves to swing on swings and swing sets. So, my inner 17-year-old likes to run because she feels free when she goes for a run. So I used to go for a run and then hit the playground on the way home and have a swing for my 4-year-old. And it's like, okay, are we taking care of everyone here? Does everybody have what they need? So it's kind of like that. When we need to do inner child work is when we have a lot of anger and frustration that's bubbling up for no reason, and we have no framework to understand why that's happening continuously. Usually there's a piece in there that needs to be worked with. So this is about going within, finding those parts of yourself that need healing, that need to be listened to. Because ultimately, when children get upset, like in tantrum and totally flip out, it's when they feel like they're not being listened to or not being heard. And so just by going into yourself and allowing yourself to listen to those parts of yourself that have been buried or maybe ignored is a really healing and really important work. So you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with a practitioner that you love and trust. But this is something that can even happen in a traditional counseling session all the way up to an energy therapy session. But you can simply do it on your own just by connecting to those parts of yourself. And you might know what age you were when a trauma or a shock or something happened that was upsetting. Like my parents split up when I was 12. It's great that they're not together now. But my 12-year-old self wanted them to stay together. So I could work on that part of myself, knowing that it's not going to change the future, but it's going to just change the emotional landscape of it to a degree. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Sometimes I go on a tangent, as you know. All right, so let's go to one of my faves. We're going to go to the Starseed Oracle. Pardon me, sorry, I've got a little bit of a throat chakra clearing today. Lots in the works. Been talking a lot lately. Okay, this is a beautiful deck. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to tell you something funny. So this happens if you have oracle card decks. You know this already. Sometimes cards fly out at you. And I was going through this deck earlier and this card kept popping out and I kept sticking it back in. And I wasn't trying to read cards. I was just setting up for this morning. This card popped out 3 or 4 times and here it is again, really wanting our attention. So the Void, it looks like a very dark card, outer space. The Void of creation. And here are the words which crack me up. Okay, Spirit has a sense of humor. These are the words on the bottom of the card. Stop. Embrace winter. Oh. Great cosmic womb. So going into that womb. So I like winter, okay? I don't mind it. I actually feel that if you don't like winter, it helps if you pick up a sport or something that you enjoy that can only be done in the winter, and then you sort of embrace snow instead of hating it if you're a hater of snow. But it's dark. It gets dark here in Ontario, and with everything going on with COVID, it feels like we are going into sort of like isolation to a degree. And the Void, this looks like a very dark card. And if you have a basement apartment in Ontario, it's going to feel like you're in a dark womb all winter. But the void of creation is actually a beautiful energy. It is the point of all creation. It's where everything's created. So it's one vast nothing, but everything potentially. So it's nothing and everything at the same time. And that's where we go when we create. We create from nothing. Everything in your life right now, look around your room where you are right now. Look at all your stuff. Okay? How did that get there? Someone had the idea for it. Someone created it. And then it got made, and then you purchased it, or someone gave it to you, and it ended up in your house. Every single thing there. The only thing that doesn't apply to is nature. Trees outside and things that just grow unless we plant them intentionally, but the seeds of them, like the original plants, were already there. Everything else we've sort of made. So you can also, knowing this, you can make whatever you want in your life, but we forget that we have that power, and we just kind of go through life and let it happen to us, you know, which is fine, because if you're not going to create your reality, someone else will create one for you, right? It's always happening. It's always happening. So, and I talked about this, I know, in Tia and Tarot in the back. In the past, in the back. I've talked about that we do create things, and that, you know, not to create on autopilot. So going into winter is actually the best time for creation, because we follow our cycles, especially if you live in an area that has 4 seasons. So the spring is all about that birth and new beginnings. Plants are coming up to grow out of the ground. As we go into summer, it's the fullness of creation and the enjoyment of everything that we planted. Fall is the harvest, where we look over everything we experienced and decide what we're going to plant next year and what we're maybe not going to plant. Like, I know I'm probably not going to plant corn next year, because I planted corn that never grew corn. It just got knocked over in a windstorm. It was like 8 feet tall. It was ridiculously tall. It took up a lot of my garden. So I'm like, and I'm talking about a literal garden right now, but you know, I mean your life, right? Whatever you're going to plant again in the spring. What didn't work for you this year? You know, maybe you put a lot of time and energy on something, and it was sort of a waste of time and energy. Or it just didn't, you know, it wasn't worth your time. So knowing that, in the fall we harvest, and then we move into winter. And winter is that slowing down. It's that going within. It's going into all of your stuff and discarding what doesn't work for you, healing what you need to heal, and getting ready, like planning. It's sort of, if we use the garden analogy, it's where you have your blueprint, or you draw out your plans for your garden and where you're going to plant things and how you're going to plant them. If you're building a house, it's sort of that architectural drawing. So in the winter, we are building the architecture of what we're going to create in the spring. So actually the real creating is happening in the winter, when it feels like nothing's happening. Even in nature, you look out there and everything's under a blanket of snow and it feels like it's sleeping. It is sleeping, but it's dreaming. Those trees and plants are thinking about what they're going to become in the spring. They're laying that energetic template into creation. So it's the most powerful time. Okay, swipe left and it should disappear. There's an X. The X takes her off. Oh, somebody can't see me? Guys, can you not see me? Can everybody see me okay? I'm seeing some messages. I don't know if somebody's having a trouble seeing me or if everybody is, because my screen seems okay. I'm just going to pause for a minute. Okay, I'm going to keep going, because sometimes the messages are on a bit of a delay. But if you're having trouble, okay, so if you're having trouble seeing me, then just go back right out of it and then come back in again. You can go off Instagram and then reload everything and come back on again. That should work. Also, to let you know, this will be recorded so that you can watch it later on Instagram, and I'll also put it on YouTube and on my website. So there's lots of places you can grab it later. Good morning for those who just joined us. So we're talking about the void, the importance of creation in the winter. It is a time to slow down, and it is a time to go within. So it's okay to get quiet and do those things. We don't have to be super busy in the winter. It's actually our recharge time. But you also do want to not go into hibernation too much, where, you know, you do want to kind of connect to people, guys. Don't stay in your bathrobe for 2 months. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean. All right. For those of you who live in places like California where it's sunny all the time, you probably don't have this problem like we do in Ontario, where it can get dark and cold, and it feels like we just want to be in pajamas all the time. So, all right, so now we're going to go to the Light Seers Tarot, which is also a new deck. Okay, Laura, you can see me too. Yeah, the chat is on a definite delay. When I first started doing Instagram Lives, I thought, oh, this is great. We can sort of have a conversation as I do these. And then I realized like it's on so much of a delay that I do get the messages, but not in real time. Okay. But also too, just so that you all know, you can message me on Instagram if there's something you want me to tune into during Tea and Tarot. Like, you can send me your questions ahead of time. Or if you want me to ask the cards a certain something, definitely do that. Ooh, Knight of Cups. All right, so for those single people, or single everybody, I just pulled the Knight of Cups. He's a really nice guy. Your mom would even like him. He's very sweet. He's one of those people that is going to bring you flowers and check on you and make sure everything's okay. And it could be somebody in your life, and romantically, or it could just be a really good friend. But this person is very intuitive, very sensitive, very emotional. So they're going to talk about their feelings with you. And they're going to want you to talk about your feelings with them. So if you're in relationship with someone like this, they're going to call you on your crap too. Like, they're going to know when you're lying and when you're holding back, because they feel everything. They're very empathic. So you can't lie to this person. And they'll kind of be upset with you if you do, because they'll take it personally. They're very sensitive. So if you are in a relationship with someone like the Knight of Cups, you do have to try to be honest with them all the time, which can be hard if you don't want to hurt their feelings. They have a lot of feelings. But their heart's in the right place, and they really love to shower you with affection. So I would say this is a very cuddly person, a very likes to be hugged person. So for those of you who are looking for love, this might be somebody coming into your life, but they are going to want to kind of pamper you. So if you're not used to that, it might be a little bit weird. I always think that I like that in a relationship, because I'm a cuddler, and but sometimes it can be a bit too much when someone does that to me, because I was married for so long to somebody who was very not that way. So even though it's what I really want, I'm not used to it. So it could be that too. You could meet somebody that's loving you in a different way and meeting you where you want to be met, but you're not used to it. So it's sort of like, wow, I'm getting everything I want. This is really, really strange. I don't know what to do here. Just embrace it. Just go with it. But that's cool. So some of you are going to meet someone or have somebody, and the relationship's going to deepen. All right, wisdom of the hidden realms. And also too, so when I'm pulling these cards in a very general way, some of them are going to speak to some of you more than others. And that's just because I take into consideration the group, and I ask Spirit to bring me cards for the group that is tuning in. So if you have a card and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like my card, that's why. Because Spirit is kind of genius in that way, in their approach. Okay. Oh, more men. All the single people. Okay, the Eagle King. This card actually I don't think is a person as I tune into the energy of it. This is, some of you are starting to work more with your spirit guides, and you're setting the intention that you want to connect to them directly and in a deeper way. And this call is being answered. Okay, so this is the time to do it over the winter. It's really easy to connect. Actually, around the months of December and January are excellent months to connect to Spirit. So if you can take that time, and if you can, just like anything else, I don't like routine, guys, I'll be honest. I really hate routine. It makes me feel kind of hemmed in and trapped. So I sort of try to reject routine. But in actual fact, if you can build a routine of connecting to your spirit guides, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week at a certain time, try to keep it consistent, you will find that your connection deepens, and that it's a lot easier than if you're just sort of willy-nilly about it. So get a journal, Set the intention, let your spirit guides know you want to connect and build that relationship, and start with journaling. That's the easiest way to begin. But some of you have some really powerful guides that are coming in. If you're already been working either professionally or just, privately with your guides, there's going to be a shift. So either a new guide is coming in, or your existing guide is going to shift and start working with you in different ways, okay? Because what's happening sort of worldwide is we're being asked to get off our collective asses right now, okay? Enough sitting around thinking about what you're gonna do, talking about what you're gonna do, and now it's time to do it. And so for those of you who've been, dragging your heels, connect to your guides and ask for help. Just ask for help either healing your body or moving you along or motivating you to keep you going if there's something you've been struggling with, because their energy is really strong right now. And it's go time, okay? Enough, it's time to do stuff. So if you've been, sitting on a decision for years, should I, shouldn't I, make a decision and stick with your decision and start moving in a direction. That's the only way you're going to figure it out. Your guides are going to be there to help push you through it. If it ends up being the wrong direction, you can always go back to your past. Okay, you can always go back to your past. I have a funny story about that. Sometimes going back to your past doesn't feel good. You think, oh, that's going to be lovely, and then you do it and you're like, that doesn't work. I actually made a recipe the other night that it used to be something I loved 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I made it last night and it totally bombed. And because it's from the past and I just wasn't supposed to be digging up recipes from 20 or 30 years ago, I maybe find something new. So it was really interesting because I'm wow, I used to really love this meal. And I'm it just doesn't work for me anymore. I'm a different person. I like different kinds of foods now. It just didn't resonate. And it was a bit sad in a way, but it was well, at least I know that now. So sometimes going back to the past, it just won't feel good. And you'll know when you're there. You'll feel it in your body. But still do it. Still try it. Don't just take my word for it. Absolutely have your own experience. But, sometimes we do that. We try to go back to past relationships. We try to go back to past hobbies. And we just aren't in it anymore. We're different, And it's really heartbreaking, sometimes, because you really want to love those things that you used to love. But a lot of us have changed a lot. And you can still keep some of the love for those things, but another story, I love pottery, love it. Was really into it in my 20s, had to kind of shelve it while I had kids and sort of put it on hold. And then a few years ago, I got back into pottery and really loved it, but just didn't have time in my life to commit to it to get to the level I wanted to get with it. And again, I've shelved it again because I'm doing other things right now. So maybe when I'm a really old lady, I'll be in a hut in the woods with my pottery wheel. I don't know. But for right now, it's not my thing. So if you're like me and you have a lot of interests, a lot of things from your past and future things that you haven't found out about yet, sometimes you do have to pick and choose, right? And put some things to the side. And this is go time right now energetically. So it's sort of get focused, okay? Get focused on the things that are really important to you that you need to bring forward in your life. And you might have to put the other things off to the side. And for those of you who are like me and doing a lot of things at the same time, you might be oh, I have to choose? It's terrible. But yes, you have to choose. So maybe pick 3 or 5 things to focus on and just, pause the rest for a bit. All right, let's go to the mermaids. Mermaids are calling. All right. Also, I have some of these decks. I'm kind of creating a shop in my house. So I have a bunch of products I'm stocking up on, and I'm probably going to have a Christmas sale for those that are local. But I haven't picked a date for that yet, probably early December. So that will be on my website soon if you need any holistic-y things. Friendship. Okay, so I was talking about this earlier, and this is coming up again. To stay connected to your friends and reach out to them and check in on them. Even the ones that you think are fine, they might not be okay. Everybody's experiencing different challenges right now, and it's important to stay connected. So this is about making that time for your friends, even if you feel you don't have time. And I've kind of haven't been very good at this lately because I've been so busy. I've sort of let everybody in my life kind of scatter. So I need to go and reconnect with people too. And it's just the nature of what happens. Sometimes we get, busy in our little world, and we forget there's other people out there, especially now, when we're not interacting as much. So it's really important to stay connected. So this card of friendship is coming up to remind us of the importance of our friends. Our friends are our family that we choose. And if you think about when you've had difficult times in your life in the past, sometimes it's our friends that get us through more than our family. So it's really important to keep those relationships and cultivate them, but also to recognize, just like what I spoke about earlier about going back to your past, sometimes your past friendships are going to be relevant in the now, and sometimes people will fade out of your life, and that's okay. It's normal for people to come in and out of your life. But if you find that happening, it's usually because there's an opportunity or a space appearing for new friendships to emerge. So maybe you're that person to take the first move and create that new friendship. But definitely, all of you, look at that over the next 2 weeks, because that's definitely coming up for us to consider. I'm going to go to the Work Your Light deck, which is also a new deck to me. Rebecca Campbell. And it's beautiful artwork. It's like the Starseed Oracle. I just found out she lives in Glastonbury, England, which is one of my favorite places in the New World. And yeah, Shelley was saying, I need to find a new tribe. And you know what? And we always feel like that in life sometimes, especially when we're going through a lot of changes, that we need some new friends to support the new reality we're moving into. You can still keep some of your old friends, but let's say, for example, if your old friends are connected to an activity that you're trying to maybe do less of, or you're trying to shift your life, make healthier choices, but your old friends live a different lifestyle, like the lifestyle of your past that you don't want to stay in, then you are going to need some new friends and new frequencies to hang out with. It doesn't mean you need to ditch all your old friends, but as you shift and as you change, you will want new friends and new people to support that. So if intuition is a big thing with you, or your spiritual growth, you're going to find you start attracting people that are into those strange things too and want to support you in those, whereas your family might just think you've gone bonkers, getting oracle cards and talking to your guides. They'll be like, Although not so much now, it's kind of becoming the thing. I was talking to my Reiki students about this on the weekend. Whoa, I just threw the cards everywhere. 10, 20 years ago doing this work, people thought it was really weird, and now it's like everybody's doing it. It's like the new cool thing. So I was just 20 years in the future. All right, so this card was a little bit of what I was talking about. I was talking about aligning your life, like realigning your life, looking at it, rearranging it. So you can see this picture. This person's literally, their whole head is being rearranged. But it's about allowing yourself to rearrange things in your life. If you struggle with change, and if you're finding this difficult, I'm going to give you a really easy life hack, okay? Rearrange your house. Rearrange some closets. Rearrange your stuff. And then that will start shifting things, and then you'll find that other things in your life start falling into place. So it's true. Even if you feel like energy's stuck in your body and you're like, oh, I just don't feel like doing anything, and I know I need healing or yoga or whatever, and you're not feeling it, clean out a junk drawer. Seriously, donate some stuff. That will get the energy moving in your home and your environment, and then it will trickle down and start to affect you in your body. And for those of you who've done big shifts, taken courses, done Reiki and all that stuff, after the attunement and after everything rearranges, you'll find you go back to your physical environment, and that you start changing things like repainting walls and getting rid of stuff. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm not wearing that color anymore. I only want this color in my life. So one affects the other, and it works the opposite way as well. So this is about realigning our life right now, re-engineering it to create more of what we want. So we've had our fall, we've had our harvest, and hopefully you've taken some time to contemplate what has worked for you and what hasn't. I know a lot of us do that kind of before the new year, right? We look at 2020 and think about 2021, and 2020 was really super sucked in a lot of ways, let's be honest. What? We just collectively, I think, are going what? About 2020. So we already know what didn't work for us and what did. And I'm not just talking about the stuff in your life that you can control. I'm talking about allowing your dreams to expand more and have some dreams for the world as well in your contemplating the future. So I know we're not anywhere near the new year. We're not even in December yet, but now it's a really good time to start thinking about what worked for you this past year and what didn't. What challenged you, how you met those challenges, how you didn't, and things that you want to change, and start like making a little list and writing it down or recording it somewhere so that you can get really clear on that over the winter. And I want you to do this even if you've never done this before, because I want you to see how this shifts your next year. And even if we're stuck in COVID hell for another year, you're still going to find you'll have more freedom and you'll have more choice if you do this work, if you take the time to do this for yourself, because we are in more control over what happens in our life than we actually believe. But we need to do it consciously. We need to make that conscious choice or conscious creation, and not just let the world happen to us. There's a lot of teachers talking about this now. This is like really old information from hundreds and thousands of years ago, but that we are co-creating with spirit. And we can choose to be a part of that, or we can take the back seat and be like, no, you drive. But you know what? It's better to take the wheel, even if you drive into a ditch. Okay? All right, let's go to these cards that are very new to me. And I don't think I had them open. I opened these up in my Reiki class because they were in plastic and curiosity got the better of me. That's Sacred Destiny Oracle. They looked good, but how many decks do you need? I already have a lot. This tea and tarot is just an excuse for me to keep getting more decks because I get bored of decks. And I think and somebody sent me a message once, they're like, why are you using so many decks? Do you need that many decks? No, you don't need 30 or 40 decks. I'm a crazy person. You only need 1 or 2. But the reason I do this is so that you can all experience different decks, see what they're like. If there's one that you're like, oh, that one looks cool, then you can kind of go get it, right? Or ask Santa for it. Okay, I pulled the blessing card. Hallelujah, because Lord knows we need some blessings in our life. Really beautiful card. That yellow bird there, the pink flowers, there's a waterfall in the background. So I'm really being drawn to the color in this card, especially the yellow. And the yellow is the color of our solar plexus, so the area just below the ribs. And that chakra, that solar plexus chakra, is about you. Okay? Why are you here? Why are you on the planet? What are you doing with your life? All that stuff. So if you feel sensation there or you're working on that chakra, it's usually at a time in your life where you're sort of rearranging what you're doing, like the really big stuff that has to do with you. I'm not talking about all your people, all your stuff, your money, your car, your cat, your dog, your partner, your kids. That's sacral chakra. This is solar plexus. This is like you. Why are you here? Why are you on the planet? What's your life purpose? All of those big questions, like what direction am I going in? What am I supposed to be doing? What do I want to be doing? That's where we're at right now. We're kind of going through that stuff together. So it's really important to take some time to connect to that energy and tune into your soul and ask those questions like, am I on track? What do I need to be doing more of right now on a soul level? Like, what am I craving? What am I ignoring? Where am I not showing up for myself? Those are important questions to ask yourself, not to judge yourself, but just to kind of see where you're at. Because it's almost like having a conversation with a little kid. And I do talk about this in my Reiki class because the body is like a little kid. It wants to tell you everything. It doesn't hide things. It's sort of like a chatty 4-year-old. It's like, oh yeah, you asked a question. Here's all my stuff. So the soul is similar. When you talk to yourself or contemplate yourself, you'll have a lot of information come to the surface. It's not like your body's trying to hide it on you. It's not like it's hidden in some secret vault. So you just need to have the desire and the willingness to ask the questions of yourself, and that information will come forward. So definitely try it. Also, the pink flowers I'm really drawn to in this card, and pink and the green as well, heart chakra. Okay, so this isn't just about, why you're here on the planet and what you're doing on a soul level. It's like, it's connected to your joy. It's connected to your passion. It's connected to those things that you get excited about. Like how do you want to be here in the world? What are the things that make you happy and joyful? We're not here just to work. We're not here just to slog away and work. And we're not here just to be of service and take care of everybody else. We're here to like really enjoy stuff, like, and love it. Like if you're going to eat the cake, don't feel bad about eating the cake. Really freaking enjoy the cake. If you're going to have guilt about the cake, then just skip it. Honestly. And I'm not saying just eat cake every day, because obviously it's not totally healthy, but like just get into and really enjoy the things you're doing. Like be present with them. Soak it all up. Find that thing that makes you joyful. And we all have different things that make us joyful. And lately, and I'm not like, I like Christmas, but I'm not always like crazy about Christmas. But this year, like I'm really like loving the Christmas music. And like my cat's already annoyed with me cranking the Christmas music. In even like the really cheesy Christmas music that I didn't used to like, I'm really enjoying, and that makes me happy. So I'm listening to it a lot lately. Luckily, nobody lives with me right now, so I don't have to worry about alienating my family. But, you know, that's what's making me really happy right now. So I'm doing it. So do more of that. Do more of what makes you happy and joyful, because when you're in that frequency, when you're in that space, that allows you to align with other things that are frequency specific to your soul. Okay, so get yourself into that happy state already, doing whatever, and then you'll find you more easily connect to those other things where you're supposed to be going. You know, we can't make good decisions from a place of funkiness. We just can't. You know, you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, like, you know, you got to get that vibe up before you can actually start choosing from that place. And it's very much connected to your heart. So that joy, that passion, you know, when you're in alignment with your soul, when you're in alignment with this energy center, you'll start to feel the energy bubble up into your chest. You'll start to feel like that joy, that open-hearted, that excitement come back to you. And it is like being a little kid, because little kids are always in this energy. So you'll start to feel giddy. You'll start to feel like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And that's good. That's good stuff. So blessings are coming. Stay connected to this. Definitely consider this. All right. So let's see where we're at. I think we'll do, I'm feeling these ones. I wasn't too sure about this deck when I got it. I don't know. Just was like, well, maybe, I don't know. It's called the Spellcasting Oracle, but I like. So, okay. There's sometimes when you have a deck, I like to fan out the cards. There's different, oops, there goes my headphones. Things are flying around my house lately. Okay. So with the deck, when you have your deck, it's always a good idea to sort of, you know, connect to it energetically, smudge it, incense, whatever, shuffle it, and you can like flip cards over from the top. But for my purposes, when I'm doing this, I like to fan them out and just kind of notice. I'll have one that like lights up or gets a little sparkly. That's how I choose. Lots of different ways to work with cards. So, but that's what I'm doing when you see me fan them out. Okay, so dreams. So it's funny, we're getting a lot of cards that are, if you haven't noticed, along the same theme today, and about the dreams, about the dreams which we talked about earlier, about creating from that void, about creating your life, not letting it happen to you, but, you know, participate in the creation and where you're going. You have more control than you think, and about connecting that to your soul purpose and where you want to go and who you want to be. And that is always connected to your joy, okay? You'll always feel a bit excited about it. You might have some fear. It's normal to have fear of the unknown. It's a different fear. It's not that fear of like, don't jump off a cliff because you'll die fear. It's more like, I don't know what's going to happen fear, but there's still excitement there that pushes you through. So this dream card is important. And this is why, okay? So, and this is my personal belief of what's happening in the world right now. I think now more than ever, we are co-creating our reality. We have been given the reins by Spirit to have more say in what we're creating. But instead of creating from a place of clarity, we're creating from a place of fear and chaos. I'm talking about as collective right now. So we've collectively created a nightmare situation. All right. The only way out of it is for as many of us as possible to get into a good headspace and start overlaying on the future a template of what we want to create. All right. So, all you meditators and healers out there, don't be losing your crap right now. This is not the time. This is when you need to get it together and focus on how you want things to go. Don't look at how they are. When I do healing work on someone, if someone comes to me with cancer or something broken in their body, I don't look at their body like it's broken. I overlay onto it a template of perfect, radiant health on that person. That's what I look at, because that will pull their body to healing faster than if I'm just acknowledging the illness or disorder. So when I look at the world right now, I don't want to focus my energy and attention and consciousness on the crazy, crazy stuff that's going on. I try to stay off even social media as much as possible lately. I'll go on and then I'll get off really quick. Just because, like, if I start reading the comments of things, I lose my faith in humanity. And that's not the state I want to be in right now. I need to hold my center and keep it in that frequency of joy and like optimism and hope. Because if I'm going to lose it, you know what I mean? So please, like, I understand, like, don't put your head in the sand like an ostrich and not notice what's going on in the world. We need to acknowledge it. But if you're going to spend your time thinking about things and focusing on things instead of worrying about your worst nightmare, please shift that and start putting your energy on what you want to create. The brain doesn't care what you think about. It just likes to chew on things. It likes to think about things and imagine worst case scenarios and imagine. It loves that. So switch up the movie. Get rid of the horror movie you're watching and turn it into maybe at least a black comedy, okay? It can have some darkness, but like, change it, okay? Just try that. We all have to kind of come together and do this because we are moving us into the future and we have a choice. We really have a choice. So it's very much like, it's like we're creating a movie and we're directing it and we're deciding where the train goes. Is it going to go through the tunnel and up the mountain and into a nice landscape, or is it going to go off the tracks into the river? So we're doing it. So we have to all kind of like gather together here. I think that's my belief. So all of these cards are asking us to look at our own personal lives though too, and the dream that we're creating for ourselves. So for the next 2 weeks, get a journal. Start writing this stuff down, what you want to bring into your life, and start focusing your energy on it and seeing it like it's already coming to you, like it's already there. And then I want to hear about all the cool stuff that happens when you do this, okay? Because cool stuff will happen. Magical things are going to happen. All right, so before we go, I'm going to do the 3 cards that I always do at the end. It's becoming a habit, or not a habit, a ritual, no, tradition. It's funny, when my kids were little, anytime we did something new that they liked, the next year I was like, we have to do that thing. It's a tradition. And I was like, oh, is it? Okay. So it's a tradition. These 3 cards at the end. Alrighty. Okay, so I pick a gold wing one, a silver wing one, and then 2 circles. So the gold wing one is find deliverance from a situation. Okay, so that's what I talked about earlier about sitting on decisions too long. You are the person who can deliver you from your situation. Yes, I know some of you feel trapped. You might feel stuck in a job or stuck in a relationship or stuck financially or stuck here or stuck there. And you're like, I can't leave. I can't do this. I can't make change. I can't whatever. You know what? That's total crap. You absolutely can. You just don't want to take the chance with the consequences of what might happen if you make that choice. But you have to consider what's going to happen to you in your life if you don't make that choice. And there's no rush. You can take 10 minutes to do something or 20 years. But if you're not sure, then don't make a decision. Just keep going and just ask for clarity. Ask Spirit for clarity. You'll get it quickly, trust me. Sometimes the clarity is a bit of a smack in the head, but you'll get it. Okay, so the key is yellow for power of will and mind. Yellow, that's your power center. That's your will. That's your mind. That's your focus. That's your soul. So the key is there. Oh, these headphones. Good Lord. I feel like things are just flying all over the place. I'm waiting for like something to land on my head. Allow a matter to reach a climax. Okay, so that's the silver wing card for this. And the key was yellow. So if you're not sure about something, if you're not sure about what choice or what direction to go in, and you're really been waffling and it's something you know you need to make a decision on because it's sort of torturing your soul, ask Spirit for clarity. And you might find that the situation reaches a point where you have to choose. So you can do that. You can ask for help and you'll get it. Trust me, you'll get it. Instead of waffling and wasting your energy forever, spinning your wheels, it's time to, get going on stuff. Okay? I love all of you guys. I hope you're in the Christmas spirit wherever you are. And I will see you in 2 weeks. And I've got lots of different things going on the website, different courses I'm offering, stuff like that. There's also a giveaway for a free oracle card reading for me for an hour. You just have to like it and share it. And I'm going to put everybody's name in a hat and draw the name on the 30th. So I think that's next Monday. And yes, so get a journal, start writing some of your wishes and dreams down and start creating some really cool stuff. And we need to also co-create some really cool stuff for the planet so we can get out of this crazed nightmare. All right? I'm counting on all you guys telling me I can't do it on my own. Okay. All right. So go out there and have fun. I love you all. Bye.